Alright, let's talk about a place that's making waves in Brighton, Regency Square Suites. Now, I know what you're thinking, Brighton? Isn't that just a bunch of seaside bars and overpriced fish and chips? But hold on, this isn't your typical hotel. It's a self-catering apartment complex that's redefining what it means to stay in a city that's basically a 24/7 party. Here's the thing. Brighton has this weird problem where you're either stuck in a hotel room that feels like a capsule or you're booking an Airbnb and hoping no one's throwing a keg stand in the next room. Enter Regency Square Suites, which somehow manages to be both luxurious and practical. But why does this matter? Because it's a perfect example of how travel is evolving. People want flexibility without sacrificing comfort, and this place is answering that call with a mix of high-end design and local flavor. Let me break it down. First, the interiors. These apartments aren't just functional, they're designed to make you feel like you're staying in a five-star resort. Think soft beiges, calming blues, and greens that scream "I'm here to relax." But what really caught my eye was the attention to detail, local makers for lighting and cabinetry, toiletries from the White Company. It's like they took a luxury hotel and gave it a homey twist. But here's the kicker, they're self-catering. That means you can have a full breakfast without the awkwardness of a hotel buffet. Plus, some units even have cocktail bars. Wait, really? I mean, who needs a bartender when you've got a minibar and a recipe book? It's genius for families or groups who want to save money but still feel pampered. Now, the layouts. They've got everything from dorm-style rooms for bridal parties to two-bedroom suites for families. And let's be real, the glamorous dorm-style room sounds like a nightmare if you're not into shared spaces, but for a group of friends or a wedding party, it's a game-changer. Suite 3, with its grand bay window and soaring ceilings, feels like it was ripped from a rom-com, but don't get too excited, this isn't just for couples. Families can get two-bedroom options, which is a relief because Brighton's got a reputation for being more party-central than kid-friendly. Still, the location is killer. Right across from the I-360, which is basically a must-see, and within walking distance of the beach. But here's the catch, the train station is a 15-minute walk through some less glamorous parts of town. That's a bummer if you're not up for a little adventure, but hey, it's Brighton, part of the charm is the grit, right? Dining is another area where they've struck a balance. No on-site restaurant, which is a bit of a letdown, but they've partnered with Antipasto by the Sea for food deliveries. I mean, imagine waking up to a brunch platter with smoked salmon bagels and lemon granola. That's not just a meal, it's a full-on sensory experience. And if you're into afternoon teas or shellfish suppers, they've got you covered. But here's what bugs me, the lack of a restaurant feels like a missed opportunity. Brighton has this amazing food scene, and while the proximity is a plus, it would have been nice to have a dedicated space for guests to enjoy without leaving the premises. Now, the sleep factor. Hypnos mattresses? That's a name I trust. The review mentions they're perfectly squishy, which is a term I didn't know I needed. But what about the green lights above the beds? That's a strange design choice. I can see how it could be annoying for light sleepers, but maybe it's part of some smart home system. Either way, the soundproofing is surprisingly good for a listed building in a busy city. It's a reminder that sometimes, the best things aren't always what they seem, like how a place that looks like it's in the middle of a tourist trap can actually be super quiet. Value-wise, it's a toss-up. At £286 for a two-night stay, it's a splurge, but the amenities justify it. However, if you're looking for a five-star experience without the price tag, the Grand Hotel might be cheaper in peak season. But here's the thing, Regency Square Suites offers something unique, a private kitchen, a space to cook, and the freedom to explore Brighton on your terms. It's not just a place to sleep, it's a base camp for adventure. And for families or groups, that's worth the extra cost. But let's take a step back. What does this say about the future of travel? We're seeing a shift from traditional hotels to hybrid spaces that blend comfort with flexibility. Places like Regency Square Suites are answering the call for experiences that cater to both solo travelers and groups. It's also a reflection of how cities like Brighton are becoming more accessible, not just for tourists, but for those who want to live the local life without the hassle. And honestly, I think this is just the beginning. More places will start offering these kinds of options because people want control over their stays, not just a room with a view. So, if you're planning a trip to Brighton, maybe skip the Airbnb and give this a shot. Who knows? You might end up with a better experience than you ever imagined.